Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 1st, and this is Morning Market Movers, where we look at hotspots in the markets for today and do some live analysis for day trading and take a look at some charts and see where there might be interesting trading opportunities. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me, Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple. Yes, you could tell I'm still got it. It's still lingering, but maybe I'm incrementally better, unfortunately. Uh, Excuse me. For me, I don't know. We'll see how my wife reacts now that she's got it. If she beats me up about that. But it was probably bound to happen. Um, it's going to be a bit of the same that we're discussing that we've done in the last few days. Everything is very much headline-driven news. We've got oil spiking above $100 and holding above $100 at the moment. We've got equities looking to open slightly in the red, but we've got volatility. We've certainly got volatility in equities. We've got volatility in energies, particularly oil. We've even got some currencies moving around a bit. So what I am going to do before I flip it over to Brian, well, first I've got to give you this quick disclaimer that trading involves risk. It may not be appropriate for everyone. Oops, there we go. That any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. I am going to drop a link in here. Brian is going to be doing a full-blown analysis webinar today in 3 hours, 3 hours and 15 minutes. So at noon Eastern, if you're not registered, I just dropped the link in, register for that. But we'll quickly go over what we're seeing right now. We'll get through the open, and then you can come back and Brian will go through every market, looking at every single chart, and we'll see where we are then, as well as setups for the rest of the week. So please register for that if you're not registered. Again, if you registered and you aren't able to join, you will get the recording. So here's the chart of oil. You can see, I mean, yesterday we spiked and kind of sold off a bit, and now we're significantly higher than that. All right, Brian, I'm actually going to flip it over to you before I start coughing again, and I'm going to let you run through quickly through the headlines, and let's take a look at oil and the equities, maybe a couple of foreign exchange, take a look at a couple of FX products, but let's, I definitely want to encourage everyone to come back for the full-blown session in just over 3 hours.
Yeah, so I wanted to start off with where we ended yesterday. Last night, we talked about the cash rate and how important the cash rate was going to be. Even if they didn't change it, that we were expecting a little bit of a boom forward. And again, there was no there was nothing. They kept it the same way. They mentioned it. There was some comments on it. But again, we got a nice little burst off of it in preparation from it. So remember, these cash rate monetary policy changes aren't just about, did you raise it today? No? Okay, there's no movement. It's what they say. We had a nice run up, and we talked about the 83.85 yesterday being a nice reversal, and it's dropped about 50 pips. Reason I'm showing you now is it's already probably a little bit too late for that trade, but we do have some other cash rates coming up tomorrow that I just want to tomorrow that I don't want anybody to forget about. This is a recent change that's just happened in the last 24 hours. Canada's over. They had left it at 0.25. Now the forecast is that it's going to be a raise, so we should see some movement in the Canadian dollar. In addition to that, in addition to raising this makes it more powerful, but also oil over $100. We're seeing that the dollar CAD is down about 61, meaning that it's all CAD strength. On in all the other fronts there, you're seeing that it's kind of like a mixed dollar. It's down versus the Swiss a little bit. Obviously it's the Aussie is up from that. The pound dollar is more or less even, and euro dollar, you're seeing euro dollar down. So there has been some European news today that I think we need to talk about as well. And this will probably kind of unfold today. And there's two pieces to it. So euro is down versus the dollar. It's down pretty big versus the pound, right? And it's not like the pound is blowing it out of the water right now. But this was news that just came out a little while ago that the ECB is talking about putting rate hikes on ice for the year to figure out the rest of the Russian situation. This is a big difference than what we've seen. They were supposed to be raising. They were going to go 2 or 3 times this year. The inflation rate in Germany is expected to be 5.1%. Their mandate is supposed to be 2. It's over double that right now. But again, they're still kind of using this as an excuse of, okay, what are we going to do? The inflation rate remains high. So again, there'll be there's tax rates, a sharp decline in mineral oil product prices. I'm not sure what the mineral oil product prices are, but they're saying there's a sharp decline, and now everything here. So it's kind of a weird situation. I understand what they're doing, but at the same time, there will be supply disruptions. And again, when we talk about Germany, this kind of goes into the energy story as well. You guys remember the Nord Stream pipeline? Well, the owners are talking about going and filing for insolvency because of the halt, because Germany didn't certify it, and they're basically saying that they want to settle this claim ahead of the U.S. sanction deadline for other entities to stop dealing with it. Basically, if it's a no go, this gas giant is going to be again filing for insolvency. The entire pipeline is done. So if you're in the pipeline business, it's not a good business, right? The XL pipeline canceled. Nord 2, even though it was done, canceled. So the pipeline business is definitely a risky one. So, but again, this also is why Germany is probably saying, well, wait a second, that was going to bring us a lot of power. We're shutting off our nuclear power plants. We're getting rid of the coal ones. By the way, we don't want any more coal, Russia, but they were shutting them down anyway, so that wasn't that big of a deal. But they may be rethinking their situation. At this point, we'll see kind of where it goes. But those are some of the biggest headlines we had in the overnight. Obviously, oil is one that we gotta talk about. Where is it? We'll go across and really kind of just the oil thing. Where is it? Right here. So this is kind of the driving force behind it. We have OPEC Plus meetings. If we look at tomorrow, we have all these OPEC Plus meetings. You would assume, right? You would assume that okay, OPEC Plus tomorrow, great. We wouldn't see a lot of movement today, but you have Putin over there talking to the Prince of Abu Dhabi, talking about what they're going to do. And the headlines today that they're probably, even with Russia, with the Russia's Ukraine invasion, they're talking about not raising it whatsoever. So, this is kind of, the cash cows for Russia are typically energy, which they're part of OPEC Plus. We have not banned or put any type of sanction on Russian oil yet by not increasing the amount. And again, everybody knows demand is high. Why is demand so high? That's why we have prices over $100. Why is OPEC not releasing more? Well, one of the people that the entire world is pissed off at is one of the main vocal bodies and one of the biggest oil producers in the world. So don't expect OPEC Plus to do any favors to anybody out there. Yesterday we talked about being long. Obviously, since yesterday morning, we were sitting over here. It's just been straight up, and then we actually touched 101.52 was the high about an hour ago at 7:30, and that's when this came out. 7:36. 7:30 candle right there. So what can we see today in oil? So, President Biden is preparing for a State of the Union. Oil is going to be something that he absolutely has to mention. Gas prices are extremely high, 40-year high inflation. But actually be looking for opportunities to get short oil today. It's obviously been pushed up with a lot of different headlines. There's a lot of news. People are trying to pre-position themselves, but we are going to get an API inventory report later on today. Remember last week there was a surplus of 4.5. Let's see, what is it? 4.5.
No, it was like over 5, and then the other one was 4.5.
This one was 4.5. The only one that matters. The API was 5.6. This one, the EIA is 4.5. So you can see there was a surplus last week, and actually the last 2 weeks there has been a surplus. So yesterday the news was we were seeing a $70 million or 70 million barrel release in supply as well. So it's definitely something we already know that Biden's go-to is to tap the strategic oil reserve. That's not an unlimited resource. That's not a special hole in the ground that spits oil all the time. That is something that actually does matter. It's not something that you typically use to stabilize prices. It's meant more for kind of emergency scenarios. It's not a permanent fix. So, I do think that this number is going to matter. Again, right now we do not have a forecast already prepared for oil. They're waiting for the API number. But with it surging and on news kind of the way it is, again, looking for a top today in oil, I think is probably a decent opportunity. Remember, when we start breaking through 100, originally, the first time we ever hit 100, it was all about, yes, $100. Everybody was like cheering for it. It's like, I'm the first guy to buy it at 100. I have the ticket. I kept it. Now with everything going on, it's kind of like, well, where's it going to stop? The forecast earlier in the year were saying 96, and then this whole thing unfolded, and it was 110. Last week we saw gas prices at $6.21. Biden has already mentioned that it's a problem, and he said we don't want our public to suffer. And when he talks about public, it kind of this goes back to the whole kind of socioeconomic status. A rich person that makes $10 million a year is not concerned about $5 gallon gas. The average Joe is worried about, $4 a gallon gas, right? We're
Right.
already at 350 or 360. So, you know, in a midterm election year, this is absolutely a hot spot. The Democrats are probably like, listen, you need to conquer this because, this is not a great situation. We now have war. We have 40-year high inflation. We have $6 gas. None of
And
these are a recipe for success.
oil hasn't been up this high in 7 years.
Yeah,
7-year
and we
high.
know what happened right after that. I mean, during that entire time period, then we saw a big crash. So it's just amazing how the volatility. I mean, last year we couldn't give oil away; it was like at a zero price. So it's just amazing how volatile a product like this can be. So I would say as much as it's been spiking in the last 24 hours, it's up 5.1%. Let me bring this back and I'll show you guys why. Kind of what I'm thinking right now. It's funny. The normal, if I scroll it back and get more time in here, the normal daily ATR for oil is about $2.60. Okay, if you guys here, I'll bring this down. Right now, you can see that we are spiking up. There was a time when it was higher than that, but right now it's saying that the daily ATR is $4. Okay, even at 480, or we're up over $5 a second ago. We're still well above where it is historically. Even if we take the more common average, it's at about $3, 280. We're almost double. So we are outside of kind of the statistical range of how much it should be moving in a day. And again, a lot of it is headlines. A lot of it is kind of assumptions and gut feelings. Whenever you see this much of a rally for price, we're looking for a good top. Find a basing level in a 30-minute. Look for that same type of Harry Potter test where it comes down and then is unable to go as high. And then that establishes our level of risk. And then look for these to get short. Ways to play this week, too. There are some longer duration contracts now that you could be looking for out of the money. If it does nothing, there's a risk there that you'll lose. But again, something like a call spread or an out of the money binary right now, if tomorrow we see inventory and then people are going to release it and we're really going to, and Biden says we are going to start cutting subsidies and we're going to do this, and to lower the prices of oil, all those are positive factors in your trade there. So again, I'd be cautious with a knockout where if there's any type of spike, you get taken out of the trade. But a duration contract for this week or a call spread could be a nice little kind of trade setup. Again, we don't have the confirmation yet. We're looking for it. Overall, right now, the indices are mixed. VIX is obviously a little bit higher with everything going on. It's higher than what we were, but it's pulling back. Right now, the dollar's not really giving us much direction. It is getting a little bit stronger, but it's not really controlling the currency realm at all. And again, we're kind of mixed. We're down 0.12. We're floating around that 43.81 that we talked about yesterday. There was your kind of trade short. NQ, kind of the same thing. We're still kind of basing sideways, basing around that 14.223. YM, we drew yesterday, 30, basically this 34, right? We came right in and touched 34s right here. We touched that and then pushed down in the European session. Russell did the same exact thing. We had the one trade set up here that ended up kind of, it pulled back and then kind of launched itself right at the open. And we're really still in the same exact area. Obviously we mentioned oil big, natural gas. It's still kind of holding lower. And remember, Nord 2 is kind of we're looking for Harry Potter. We haven't gotten it yet. Gold, up a little bit, right? Gold is up a little bit. We had a 50%, the 61 retracement yesterday for a collapse, but we're in the same spot we were yesterday. Silver, still kind of in that same little area there. So I would say it's much more of a quiet day. I would say the biggest movers right now are oil, number one, and then the cryptos, number two. Bitcoin is up 3%, Ethereum up 3.6, and then Doge's up 2.5. So with everything going on, central banks shutting down and cutting people off, that's kind of the name of the game. And I think the crypto group right now is basically looking at this as saying, well, you're shutting down central banks and Russia's been kicked out of SWIFT, so they need to move money around. So they're going to do it in cryptos. Yeah, for long-term, for longevity, that's probably not the best thing. If Russia says they're just going to use crypto to circumvent the normal banking system, not a good sign for the cryptos out there. So, but that's it for this morning. It's rather, with everything we've had, rather quiet. What I would say is come back. And even there's even an article over here, calmer but fragile markets. And I would say that that's kind of where we're at right now. Everybody's waiting to see what happens. Yesterday's peace talks, basically they didn't create peace. They basically said, you know what, we'll talk again tomorrow. And we haven't seen any headlines today for that one. So it's not over yet. We'll see if we can get a headline, but I'm not holding my breath on that one.
All right.
Come back at 12 today and we'll see what we got.
Yeah, that's the plan for today. Just do a quick little, let's take a look at what's going on this morning. And it is a bit of a quieter morning outside of oil blowing up and going through 100. Everything else, all things considered, it's pretty mild at the moment, but we got to wait
Mhm.
and see what retail traders think once they jump into the markets. So with that, any questions for Nadex, you can please email customerservice@nadex.com. Brian's and my emails are up there. But if you have any questions for Brian, please reach out to him. He answers his emails. Support@keeptradingsimple.com. We will be back. We will be back in 3 hours. So I've dropped that link in there. If you haven't registered, come back, go through a whole full-blown session, see everything that's happened from the open until then, and then look at potential trade setups for the balance of the week. With that, hopefully everyone's able to join us in a few hours. Otherwise, Brian and I will catch you again tomorrow morning. Until then, good luck in the markets, everyone.